The informant must make contact with the mutants south of the GDI base. Use the mutants to protect the informant and to eliminate GDI patrols. Reinforcements will arrive after you have secured the railway tunnel here. Use them to locate and destroy the research facility. The mutants, of course, are expendable. Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
Welcome back, Commander.
Sir, no problem.
Considering we have an informer, I'm a little surprised there's no snow on this map.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bad jokes aside, I kind of split on this mission as to if I like it or not. I like the interactions of the world, and we can see that already. Just one with the fact that we have a civilian car that comes in, drops us off, makes it really seem like we're infiltrating via not so normal means, considering Nod has subterranean APCs. The fact that we have a special unit that has, I don't really know what stats he has. I don't think I'm going to bother looking him up either. He seems to act kind of similar to mutants with their guns. At least from most mutants and their guns. And he also has like the same sprite as well. The problem I have with interactions with the Forgotten in this level are that, well, they follow you. And we can already see that how they follow is, I don't want to say random, but it certainly doesn't feel like there's a lot of, there's not a predictable way that is 100% surefire. But again, I wouldn't call it random. Basically, the problem I really have with this mission is that by having your informer go first, he's always going to be the one taking damage. And depending on how the mutants are positioned, they may not exactly do enough damage to the GDI infantry we see in order to, protect them.
No problem. No problem.
If it's not immediately clear, as soon as the informer dies, you lose. Well, up till a certain point in the mission anyways. But this initial portion, if something happens to your informer, which did to me, right outside this tunnel, kind of sucked. It's not a huge time loss or anything, but something to keep in mind for players.
No problem. Ready for action. Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is sort of the problem. Having a destroyer, even if one runs away, having one destroyer is very dangerous for your informer.
Tunnel secure. MCV en route.
And a follow-up Titan just makes it that much harder. Now, for whatever reason, Nod seems to have at least some remnants of buildings in the area. Although they're clearly not of the same faction, judging by their color. And, well, the mutants kind of just go off and do their own thing. You should never really expect them to do too much after this first portion. And while I might have some small hang-ups on the Forgotten that we end up playing with or dealing with, I do like just how this mission is. The level design is just very interesting, and I like how everything seems to flow naturally. But we'll kind of see a little bit more of that later on. Now, I always thought that, maybe this is just my own memory and how this is all playing out, but I had to, for the longest time I could swear that the two transports that came in and gave us basically the multi-missile, I was pretty sure that that's supposed to be like a Tiberium missile, but maybe I'm just wrong on that one, which is probably way more likely, all things considered. It does also mean something else, which is, just because it's been quite a bit since I recorded this, unless I'm mistaken, you only get one multi-missile in this mission, which kind of sucks. The multi-missile we've seen quite a few times, but we'll get to see just from our own perspective just how deadly or kind of ineffective it can be. It also kind of sucks that, speaking to the design of this level, the fact that you start off and you're in the civilian area, you move over onto like this new plateau, a lot of flat land, Tiberium, there's obviously some mountainous ranges or cliffs and valleys. It does kind of suck that Tiberian Sun clearly demonstrates that there are hospitals and armories and stuff like that, and that they could potentially have some sort of effect on the world at large, or your units, and so on. But sadly, there's just nothing comes of it ever. Oh, and I'm not sure if it's just a timer or it just happened to be at the same time when you reveal the area, but going by what we can see on the screen, you do get mutant reinforcements every so often that kind of help you out. Generally speaking, you shouldn't ever expect anything out of them, other than maybe some okay scouting. But again, kind of wishy-washy on how useful that could possibly be. I think that may be one of the few times that the Second National Bank has actually paid off. Oh, and honestly, if you ever play this mission yourself, best idea is to toss some artillery up there, put some on the left side, put some on the right side. It'll take forever for GDI forces to get anywhere near your artillery if you have like 4, 5, maybe 6 tops, but even 6 is kind of a little bit overboard. Either way, you have a certain number of artillery and they'll never get through. Granted, usually what they send is destroyers like this. You'll come across a couple Titans and Wolverines, and as well as some hover MLRSs, or MRLSs. Regardless, there's not going to be too much to worry about as long as you have that initial number of artillery protecting yourself.
Waiting orders.
I think there was one Titan that came in through the southeast via the Tiberium field that I'm going through, but
have arrived.
I can't really say that there's many attacks that go through there. It's one of those situations where you put down a defensive turret, and then if it blows up at some point later on and nothing else, you kind of assume it's just done its job.
Unit ready.
Sir, unit reporting. Orders received. Orders. Sir?
And, well, I'm starting to build a bunch of tick tanks, which I don't really ever build them normally, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
to be honest,
Base under attack.
there's not much else I really want to do, and
Building.
kind of the best options I've got at the moment. I could do the whole engineer rush and do that over and over again, but that hardly makes for interesting viewing. And blink and you'll miss it, the multi-missile there. It does a small amount of damage when it initially explodes, unless they changed that. I feel like that was how it worked for the longest time anyways. And then as it spreads out into in a circular pattern, every rocket that once it touches the ground does a set amount of damage. I should probably take a look at the rules ini file and see just how much damage actually.
Insufficient.
Waiting orders.
Basically, the way you really want to use a multi-missile is in between a large number of buildings or units. And I'm speeding this up because, well, I'm just going around capturing stuff at the moment.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Construction complete. Building. On hold. Unit ready. Construction complete. Primary building set.
It's generally the same tactics over and over again. Just have some units infiltrate, pop down a defensive structure or two, get a hand of nod or capture a barracks, and then pump out a bunch of enemies. If anything, it's a cheap way to just take out a lot of the opponent's infrastructure. Had I been on a lower difficulty, it could have been over by now. If only for the fact that they won't have as many units lying around, and so defensive structures would just last that much longer. And ultimately, our only goal here is to destroy the hospital. Once the hospital is taken down, it's over. Which is why it kind of sucks that you only get one multi-missile, because then you could just, blow it up. But maybe it's just too easy for people. I mean, at the end of the day, the multi-missile does have a, I don't want to say rather long cooldown time, but it's there, so something to think about, really.
Building captured. Final building. Unit ready. Unit lost. Building captured. Unit lost. Units under attack. Building. Building captured. Primary building set. Construction complete. Building captured. Building.
It really doesn't make it easy when I have to go through everything in this rule any file. Alright, multi-missile cluster missiles. Damage is 65, which is pretty good. What's a good comparison?
Harvester under attack. Unit ready.
That is a good comparison. The Vulcan, I forget if this is the defense tower or the Wolverine. I think it's the defense tower. They label like 3 things Vulcan guns in this game, which is kind of annoying. I guess this is better. So artillery actually does 150 damage in this version of the game anyways. So you're looking at less than one artillery shot, less than half of one artillery shot every time it shoots. But there's also a very large number of missiles, so...
Building. On hold. Building. Primary building set. Construction complete. Building.
And again, at this point, especially with nod missions, as soon as you snuck in, captured a bunch of GDI structures, especially ones like, this, the construction yard, pretty much over.
Construction complete.
In a way, it just reminds me of the lack of use of the all to hunt trigger,
Unable to comply.
which we still rarely ever see.
Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete.
Unit on my way. Unit ready. Yes, sir. You got it. Unit, yes, sir. You got it.
Unit ready.
I think the worst is, I think it's just technically one building in the hospital that needs to blow up, or is it all of it?
On my way, unit.
Maybe it's all of it. I was gonna say it would really suck if it was only one of the 4 buildings.
Research facility destroyed. Objective. Mission accomplished.